A few years ago, I moved into a small apartment by myself. It wasn't anything special. One bedroom, small kitchen, quiet neighborhood. Honestly, it was exactly what I wanted. For the first month, everything felt normal. Then, little things started happening. Things that were easy to explain away. A kitchen cabinet I was sure I had closed. A light left on when I thought I had turned it off. A chair that seemed slightly out of place. Nothing major. Nothing that would immediately make someone think another person was involved. I blamed myself. I figured I was distracted, busy with work, forgetting things. But then something happened that bothered me more than it should have. One evening I came home and found a coffee mug sitting in my sink. The problem was I hadn't used that mug in weeks. It was stored in the back of a cabinet. I specifically remembered putting it away after cleaning the kitchen. Still, I convinced myself there had to be a logical explanation until I started noticing a pattern. The strange things only happened on days when I worked late. Days when my apartment sat empty for hours. Or at least, I thought it was empty. The first real sign came from my shower. One morning before work, I noticed a long strand of hair stuck to the wall. I live alone, and the hair definitely wasn't mine. I stared at it for almost a minute, trying to come up with some explanation. Maybe it was left by a previous tenant. Maybe it got stuck there somehow. Maybe I was overthinking everything. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. A few days later, I came home and immediately noticed a smell. Very faint, like someone had recently cooked food I hadn't cooked in nearly 2 days. The smell wasn't strong enough to prove anything, but it was there. That night, for the first time, I became genuinely uncomfortable. I checked every room, every closet, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Nothing. The apartment was empty. At least that's what I thought. The next morning while getting dressed, I noticed something sitting on my dresser, a quarter, just a normal coin. The reason it scared me was because I never carried cash, ever. And somehow, the coin was standing upright, balanced perfectly on its edge. At that point, I bought a cheap indoor security camera. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want people thinking I was paranoid. I installed it, facing my living room before leaving for work. The first day, nothing happened. The second day, nothing happened. The third day, the motion alert arrived. I remember opening the app while sitting at my desk. The notification simply said, "Movement detected." I expected to see a bug, maybe sunlight moving across the room. Instead, the footage showed my front door slowly opening. Very slowly, almost cautiously. My stomach dropped. Someone stepped inside. The camera couldn't capture their face, only part of their body, dark clothing, gloves. Whoever it was stood completely still for several seconds, almost like they were listening. Then they walked out of frame. For nearly 20 minutes, I couldn't see where they went. Then they returned. Before leaving, they looked directly into the camera. I drove home immediately. When I arrived, everything looked normal. Nothing stolen, nothing broken, nothing missing. But when I reviewed the footage again later that night, I noticed something horrifying. The person never used force to enter. They unlocked the door. The next morning, I contacted the landlord. He checked the lock records. Then his face went completely pale. Years earlier, one of the maintenance workers had been given a master key. The key was never returned after he quit. Nobody knew where it was. The locks were supposed to have been replaced. That evening, the landlord promised to install new locks the next day. I almost stayed at a hotel. I wish I had. Around 2 a.m., I woke up thirsty. The apartment was completely dark, silent. I walked toward the kitchen. Halfway down the hallway, I stopped. Something felt wrong. The bathroom door was open. I always slept with it closed. Always. Then I noticed something else. A shadow, standing inside the bathroom, perfectly still, watching me from the darkness. I froze. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then my phone vibrated, a motion alert from the security camera. I looked down at the notification. Movement detected. Bedroom. And when I looked back up, the bathroom was empty.